Okay, so now we know what's the model, and let's analyze. Is it possible to signal the quality through prices? Okay, so first we probably need to start with our benchmark case, the case with complete information. Suppose the quality is observable. In this case, because the firm can earn money in both categories, it is one choice to serve both categories, right? And in each category, find the optimal price and profit. It's also possible that specializing in just one category is better because you may get that cost reduction benefit, right? So you may find a mild condition for serving both categories to be optimal. Let's assume that condition is satisfied and we focus on that situation. So in categories 1 and 2, the firm of quality J will solve the following problems. If it is category 1, then I'm going to solve this problem. I want to find the price P so that this is my demand and this is my profit margin, right? I want to maximize my profit as this. And for category 2, I want to find another price P so that this is my demand and this is my margin in the second category. Here, QJ, CJ, QJ, CJ. So for different quality, I'm going to make different decisions. Also, even though here we use the same notation, you probably can understand that there is no restriction that you need to set the same price for different services, right? Okay, so we can solve this problem. The first best prices can be found by just a simple first order condition. So the optimal price for the first category is here, and the optimal price for the second category is here. Mathematically, there's nothing special, and it's just a trade-off with quality, demand, and the cost, right? If the cost is higher, you're going to charge a higher price, and if the quality is higher, you will be able to charge a higher price. With that, you can also find the first best profit. That's fine. So numbers are not important. What's important is that you need to know when the quality is observable, the firm can make the optimal decision in both categories, and there exist optimal or first best prices in either category. Okay, we're going to compare the price under a separating equilibrium with these first best prices to get some insights. So now let's consider whether it is possible to signal through prices. So now the quality are unobservable. So the first best prices are suboptimal. Why? If I still choose the original price, fewer consumer will buy. Because of what? Because they do not believe my quality is high, right? I know my quality is high, but the consumers do not. So they will treat the quality as the expected quality, and then they will be willing to pay less. So fewer consumer will buy if I still use the same prices. So if I do not want to signal my quality, then what I should do will be decrease the price. So you may want to go back to check. If your QH becomes Q bar or something like that expected quality, you're going to decrease the price. So we know that's not the best we may get, right? We may get a signaling result, a separation. So let's try to think about this question. Suppose the firm still wants to serve both categories for some reason. And then the question is, can the firm modify the prices so that there is a separating equilibrium? Okay, we want to ask this question. So we need to do some formulation to formalize the idea. In a separating equilibrium, let's use this notation to denote the profit function under prices, P1 and P2. So T may be either low and high. For either type of quality of consumers, either type of for either type of firms, if I want to serve multiple firms, and if I want to use price alone as the signaling device, then by choosing P1 and P2, this is my profit. This is a separating equilibrium, and that's why the qualities can be told directly and correctly. Okay, the consumers will not use expected qualities to replace your true quality because this is a separating equilibrium. Also, your cost will still be there. There's nothing you can do. So, given different P1 and P2, you are going to earn different profit. Okay? We're going to use this notation to denote the optimal prices for the low and high quality firms under separation. That means there is a separating equilibrium. In the separating equilibrium, the low type firm is going to charge this pair of prices, and the high quality firm is going to charge this pair of prices. Okay, naturally they cannot be identical. Otherwise, it's not a separating equilibrium, right? You cannot tell who is who because their prices are identical. So there must be some difference between their decisions. We also need to denote the pooling equilibrium profit as this. In this case, because this is a pooling equilibrium, the quality will be Q bar, where Q bar is the expected quality. Okay, Q bar is the expected quality, and it will be accessed by using the prior belief set at lambda. And then P1, P2 the same, cost the same. The only difference from here to here is that the quality becomes different. The cost incurred by yourself is identical, but the consumer's belief about the quality becomes different in the pooling equilibrium and in the separating equilibrium. So now let's try to formulate the firm's problem. Okay, here why do we really want to do a formulation? Think about what's different in this problem and the signaling game you solved last week. Last week when we talked about that warranty decision, you have a binary decision. You may choose either to offer or not to offer. So you know the decision is binary or discrete. But here, your decisions are prices. So your decisions are somewhat continuous, right? You have a continuous set of decisions continuous set of actions to choose from. So somehow that means there is a formulation you may do. You're going to choose prices as your decision variable. You're going to maximize something subject to something, and we're going to solve that problem. Okay, so we're going to use these notations, something we're going to use. When I is a low type firm, if I can find my optimal separating equilibrium prices, then I can earn a certain amount of money. I'm going to call it pi L star MA. And similarly for the high type firm, it will be pi H star MA. And now we can describe what's a separating equilibrium. We know in an equilibrium, there are three components. The high type firm's decision, two prices. The low type decision, two prices. And the beliefs, right? So we want to have a way to describe these two pairs of prices as the components of a separating equilibrium. Okay? We want to ask what should be satisfied for this separating equilibrium. So for the high quality firm wants to solve this problem. I want to choose a pair of prices P1, P2 to maximize my profit under separating equilibrium, right? But when I do so, I cannot do it by myself. I cannot just consider myself only because there is a low type firm and that guy is going to do something weird. What's that? The low type firm may do this. The low type firm can choose my price. Okay, no matter what's the price I choose, the low type firm can choose the same prices and then obtain this amount of money in the pooling equilibrium, right? No matter what the prices I choose, the low type firm may mimic my decision and may mimic me by choosing my decision, and that's the amount he can earn. This must be less than or equal to what he may earn under the separating equilibrium. Okay, so here you may see that this is exactly this optimal quantity. I mean optimal profit, right? I need to make sure that for the low type, mimicking is not as good as doing his own business. Okay, that's one thing. Also, there's another thing I need to make sure. I need to make sure that for me, separating is good enough. So, what does that mean? When I do separating, this is the amount I may earn, right? And I will not be better off by choosing what the low type firm is doing. Okay? I hope that the low type firm will do something he wants to do. Okay? Will do something in a separating equilibrium. And I also need to make sure that I will not want to deviate from my personal decision. I will not want to get a pooling equilibrium. Okay? So I need to have these two constraints. Probably you will feel that the second constraint seems to be weird, so maybe you may think in the following way. I need to set P1, P2 so that I can disallow the low type guy to mimic myself, right? I need to have this constraint. So that means I have a rather small set of P1, P2 that is possible or that can satisfy this constraint. But I need to also make sure that those P1, P2 are not too bad for me, right? If disallowing the low type guy to mimic myself is too costly, then the better thing to do is to give up and treat myself as the same quality as him and play the pooling equilibrium, right? In that case, the second constraint will not be satisfied. I will find it is better to do the same thing with the low type guy and earn just the pooling equilibrium profit. So that's the situation. Okay, so the same thing must apply to the low quality firm. The low quality firm wants to find these optimal separating equilibrium prices by solving this problem. I want to find the prices to maximize my profits. I need to make sure that the high type firm does not want to mimic me. And I also need to make sure that I will not try to mimic the high type firm's decision. Okay? Well, it may be a little bit complicated for you to understand everything here, but if you slow down and spend some more time, it should be fine. Anyway, the key here is that they need to choose this. They need to choose prices, and they need to prevent the other guy to pretend to be myself. Okay, so given that game, it is possible that there is a separating equilibrium, or there is a pooling equilibrium, or there are both. So in this lemma, we can show you what will happen in a separating equilibrium. Suppose the firm must enter both categories. In this case, in, in the separating equilibrium, the high quality firm is going to distort prices upward in both categories. On the other hand, the low quality firm is going to choose the first best prices. Okay, so that means for a low quality firm, the prices will be identical to the first best prices, but for the high quality firm, the price will become even higher. So we know several things. Prices alone can signal quality because we see the existence of a separating equilibrium. When there is a separating equilibrium, that means you can do signaling. You can use, for example, price to do signaling. Also, we want to know something from the separating equilibrium. And here, the insight we find is that there must be a price distortion. And that happens to high quality firms, right? And also, we want to ask, why is there a distortion? Why is it an upward distortion? How come it cannot be for example, downward distortion? Or something like that. We want to justify our solution, or we want to find the intuition for these price distortions. So let's think about the following situation. Why do we need an upward price distortions? Suppose I'm the high quality firm, and suppose I charge the first best price. In that case, the low quality firm is going to mimic me and choose the same prices. If the low quality firm do the same thing, then signaling fails, right? There is no separation. So as a high quality firm, I need to deviate from the first best prices. If I first sorry, let me say again. So when I want to deviate, I have two directions. I may either set the price higher or lower, right? So now let's discuss why upward distortion is meaningful. And then you will see why downward distortion is not meaningful. So if I do an upward distortion on my prices, that's going to decrease the demands both for me and for the ugly guy, right? If the low quality firm wants to pretend to be high quality, when I charge a higher price, he must also charge that higher price. That's going to hurt the low quality firm, okay? But now the problem is, when I hurt both of us, is it the case that I can hurt my enemy more, right? If that's true, then eventually I can successfully beat my enemy, and he is going to give up mimicking me. And that's exactly true for this case, because the low quality firm has a lower cost. So what does that mean? The cost is lower for the low quality firm. So that means the profit margin is higher or can be higher. And then for each unit of lost sales, the low quality firm is hurt more, right? And that means as a high quality firm, I relatively benefit from this price upward distortion because I can hurt the low quality firm more. And that's all exactly due to the lower cost. So I can keep increasing my price until the price is high enough. Then the low quality firm will find that it will not be profitable to keep pretending to be of high quality. The low quality firm will admit the low quality and then go back to charge the first best prices. Okay? If the low type firm do so, then the first best prices must be optimal for him, because now the low quality is revealed. All consumers know that with this price, you are having the low quality, and then the first best price is optimal. So this directly explains why the high quality firm does not make the price lower, because that cannot provide incentive for the low quality firm to play the separating equilibrium, right? Only upward distortion have this effect. Also, we can also explain why the low quality firm chooses or do not deviate from the first best price. Only the high quality firm will deviate. So, when one do signaling through prices, there are certainly impacts, right? If we look at this game from outside, please remind yourself all the way. There is just one firm. Okay, even though we sometimes say two firms, or the high quality firm, the low quality firm. In fact, there is just one firm. So under complete information, there are prices, and under incomplete information, we see that the price may become higher in a separating equilibrium. Why? The firm is trying to tell you this: my quality is high. Otherwise, why I will not charge such a high price? Okay, there is just one firm. The firm has a quality that you cannot tell. And then the firm is doing something that cannot be done if he has another type. He is telling you that my quality is high. Otherwise, I will not do so. I will not charge a high price. This is very similar to any signaling situations. My type is something. Otherwise, I will not do this. For example, if you are a boy and you try to make girlfriend with another girl, you're going to do something very good to her, right? Because how you like her is hidden. So you want to show your quality. That means how you like her by doing something that is very expensive to those guys that do not like her that much. Okay? And here, charging a high price is the same thing. My quality is high, otherwise I cannot afford such a high price. So here, eventually the price becomes higher and the information asymmetry causes inefficiency, right? Again, we still need to remind you that prices becomes higher is just one possibility in separating equilibria. If the equilibrium is a pooling equilibrium, then the prices will become lower than the high types first best prices. And in that case, it's still inefficiency because the firm earns less. Okay? Sorry. So, no matter it's a separating equilibrium or a pooling equilibrium, there is always inefficiency caused by information asymmetry. Okay? It's just that maybe in the separating equilibrium, the efficiency is higher. Okay, so that's the story about signaling through prices. Thank you.